How do I have time for blogging, social media, my life as a scientist, my life outside of a scientist? How do I balance it all? Hi, I'm Dr. Stephanie Shuttler, aka The Fancy Scientist, and I'm here to empower scientists and inspire you to conserve our natural world. Today, I'm talking about blogging, social media, and balancing my life with them and my job. So these questions come from Natasha. And in the last video, I talked about which I prioritize, social media and blogging. And I choose blogging, so you can check out that video if you need to link back to it to watch it. And she wanted to know more of how she could do both at the same time. She said she likes Instagram because when she posts, she gets some immediate satisfaction. I get that too, I love it. And blogging, it's a little bit more time consuming. It's a little bit more planned out. So my tip is to really focus on blogs and plan your social media posts around blogs. I do have to say it can be stressful and it can be a lot to think about what I need to do every day for social media and blogging. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so making sure that I'm present on all social media platforms. In addition to, or most importantly, going after my blog, and most importantly, working on my blog, I mean, it's honestly a full-time job. There are social media people out there as their career, so we're trying to do this as scientists, doing, you know, our daily life as a scientist, but science communication on the side. So it is difficult. So what I do is I think about what blog posts I want to write, and then I work my social media around those blog posts. And what you can do is make them work for each other. So an example, I like doing a lot of numbered lists. So recently I did one about plastics. If you go to fancyscientist.com, you can see it. It's X ways, the number of ways that you can reduce plastic. Let's say it's 10 ways you can reduce your plastic use. So what you could do then is each day do an Instagram post on that addresses one of those ways that you can reduce plastic, and then release the blog post that has all your information. So as you write those Instagram posts, you have a big full blog post at the end. You can do it the other way. Write the blog post first, all 10 reasons, release it, and then each day after that, talk about your blog post, get people to visit your blog, go to the link in the bio, but go through all the different reasons more in detail, or provide more photos, or ask more interesting questions, or ask questions to get some interesting commentary and feedback. So that is one of the ways that I do it. I also look back on my old Instagram posts. This may or may not apply to you, but I used to write these lengthy posts about mammals with Mammal of the Day, and I have copied and pasted all of those into a document, and I'm working on making those a blog post because, so each mammal its own individual blog post, because it's based on camera trap photos, and I just think these animals are so cool, and the photos are the best part of them. But anyways, I'm reusing content that I already have on my Instagram, and I'm using that for blogs. A misconception is that a blog post has to be this like gigantic, lengthy post. And while those do perform better in Google's algorithms, especially with competitive keywords, you don't have to have these long blog posts. So I would say a blog post is really 300 words or more. Some of mine are really picture-based. Again, I work on camera traps, so we get these amazing pictures, and I just wanna, you know, show like my favorite pictures. So for each school that I worked on with my camera trapping project, we worked in 4 different countries. I have a blog post devoted to my favorite photos that come from the schools. So that didn't take me a long time to make at all. So again, yeah, I would make it into bits and chunks. Another tip from, this is from the Grad Blogger podcast that he's done. I haven't done this yet, but as a scientist, you have to read a lot of papers, so you can make your blog posts into summaries of those papers. So you're doing something that would be helpful for you anyways, or reading a paper and then creating a summary of it is some way that people study for their comprehensive exams, or just learn the literature, or prepare for manuscript writing. So that's another way that you could get a blog post or Instagram post out of that. You can also use the exact same sentences for both your Instagram and blog. I find that it reaches different people. You might want to tweak it a little bit, but like for example, for my blog post, when I'm talking about a new blog post on Instagram, I will often copy and paste the very first paragraph, or in blog post you have to do snippets to summarize what the blog is all about. I might use that exact sentence. It's usually like 1 or 2 sentences. So I try to rewrite as little as possible and make them work for each other. And for other social media like Twitter and Facebook, my blogs provide things for me to tweet about and for me to post about on my Facebook page. So I prioritize blogging and use social media to enhance it. And a tip I have for working on your blog and making progress, I used to do this, I'm kind of bad at it lately, but before I started work in the morning, I would work on my blog every day for about an hour. So I would just get up, I'm most productive in the morning, and I would just write for an hour. And when you start blogging, at first it might take you 8 hours. It would take me like a whole day, honestly, to get a full blog post. Depending on what it is nowadays, if it's something I have to do a lot of research for, it will definitely take me time. But now I can whip out a blog post in like 1-2 hours. Again, depending on the subject and how much I have to research it. But once you start writing, you get better as a writer, you know your voice, and it gets easier. So you might be a little bit slow in the beginning with blogging, but with time you will get better. Okay, Natasha also asked, do I find the science communication aspect of things rewarding? Yes, so much yes. I wanted to become a scientist because I cared about wildlife conservation. So I really want to see changes in the world. And science is one important part of conservation. But honestly, so many conservation problems are solved by how we as a society, human beings, act. A lot of solutions are economic and political. So I've become extremely interested in reaching people. And that is why I am doing this YouTube channel, because I literally want to change the world. I've seen the world change so much since I've grown up. I'm not super old. I'm in my late 30s. And I want those changes to reverse. I want to see the habitat loss slow down, the plastic use slow down, the climate change impacts be mitigated. So I'm here to inspire you to care about our natural world together and help conserve it. So I find science communication really beneficial because it takes years and years to do a scientific study, and it goes into a peer-reviewed publication, which is really meant for scientists to read. Lots of people do not read them. I would say only dozens of people read them every year. You're not always on the ground working with governments, so the work that you do might not get implemented or enacted by governments, even if it's sound scientific research and the government wanted it. If the people don't want it, or if there's a political situation that won't allow for it to happen, then your work, it doesn't get implemented. I personally feel that science communication is extremely important because, like I said, these decisions are made by people. We vote, we have influence in our political system. So if we get people inspired to care about animals, that's what I'm passionate about, they will donate money to organizations that work to preserve these, to preserve nature and wildlife, and they will vote in such a way that will help our planet get better. So yes, I think science communication is very important. I've seen my social channels grow with time, and more important than followers, don't get discouraged by the followers. It is so easy to get discouraged by followers, but really focus on connections with people. If people are asking you questions, that is such a good sign. So even if you don't have the biggest following, if you're getting those quality connections with people, that's what's really important. When I get messages from my inbox saying that they learned something or they didn't think of something that way, that's really what makes my day. Finally, Natasha asks, how do I balance blogging and science communication with my daily life? This is a hard one. This is one I'm still figuring out. I prefer to have a schedule and build it in, but I haven't been that great about that lately. So I gave you the tip about blogging in the morning for an hour. I think that's a good tip in general. Just get into the regular habit of doing blogging and or social media and keeping it up daily. There's definitely times when I don't feel like it. I use the weekends to plan content ahead. Oh, I also make it really fun too. Like, I really love blogging. So I started my own blogging meetup group here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've met really awesome people by doing it. So I definitely devote weekend time to doing social media and blogging. You definitely have to take time out, definitely power down. When I'm out with friends, you actually, if you follow my Instagram stories, you'll rarely see pictures of me going out because I'm having so much fun with my friends that I forget to take stories or snaps of what's going on. So make sure that you're present in the moment. But I would say you just have to choose to do it. You have to prioritize it. You have to make it happen and give yourself a limit. I can definitely get addicted to it. That being said, when you're in the writing zone, sometimes it's good to just keep going because it can be hard to get in the writing zone on other times, at other times. So those are some of my tips for science communication and blogging and balancing the work-life situation. So if you have any helpful advice, I'm still learning this phase. I'd love it if you drop a comment below. If you're loving this talk, please subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna have a lot more videos on science communication and what it's like to be a wildlife biologist and my travels all over the world. Thank you guys.